thought for the day. So be a visualizer. There are visionaries who kind of imagine the world looking differently, and visualizers are people who imagine their world looking differently. We'll have more time to put her on the front page way later, but as announced, a lot of people found out on through an email from Gabby that her last day here will be January 23. And she's a classic visualizer, quite apart, and we'll celebrate her closer to that time, January 23. But quite apart from the magnificence of her heart and how smart she is and how gentle and kind she is, she visualizes things. So she visualizes becoming a registered nurse, and there's nobody in this room that doubts that she in fact will become that because she can see it. She can see it. A quote I often use in talks I give is from the prophet Habakkuk: "The vision still has its time, presses on to fulfillment, and it will not disappoint, and if it delays, wait for it." So we're all familiar with the fact that we have to wait for the thing that we visualize, and there starts and stops, but if you keep seeing it and visualizing it, it'll happen. So a couple weeks ago I did a baptism in a backyard of a kid we'll call Lefty. I've known him for 30 years. Hilarious kid, and I've seen him grow and change and move. So we had the baptism in his backyard. It wasn't his kid, it was his grandson, his very first grandchild. And the father of this grandchild, I had baptized, long time ago at Dolores Mission Church. I'll never forget it because there was a ton of relatives there. And after I finished baptizing him, I grabbed the little guy and I held him there. So let's get a picture with everybody here. Come on up. So everybody came out of the pews, and I was kind of choreographing the thing. Okay, tall people back here, short people here. How about you guys kneeling in front? And we're all set. And I looked out, and there was Lefty, all alone, standing in the aisle. And he shook his head and he said, "I hope one of you has a photographic memory, because we ain't got no camera," he said. So there I was at this baptism, and I had to go on to do another thing. And he said, "I'll walk you to your car." So we were talking, and I noticed how he looked good, like he had lost weight and was in shape. And so I mentioned that to him. He goes, "Ever since my doctor mentioned that I had acid reflux." I said, "Well, actually, it's acid reflux." And he stops, and he looks at me and he says, "You say potato, I'll say potato." That's the kind of guy he was. He was a visualizer because he started to visualize things differently. He visualized not having enemies anymore. And so he was part of our original crew that built the child care center at Dolores Mission Church, where enemies work side by side with each other. If professionals had built it, it would have taken 6 months, but because the homies did, it took 2 years. He visualized no longer going to prison, and so it came to pass. He visualized no longer running up to cars selling crack cocaine, and indeed, that no longer was part of his life. He visualized a good job, his own home, wife and kids, and he has all of that now. He visualized his kids having an education that he never got around to. And so when I blessed his daughter, who was going on to college afterwards in the church parking lot, I said, "I give you credit for the man you've chosen to become, for choosing to walk in your own footsteps. I'm proud of you." And kind of uncharacteristically, Lefty's eyes started to glisten with tears. And he says, "Sabes que? I'm proud of myself. All my life, people called me a lowlife, a bueno para nada, good for nothing. I guess I showed them." I said, "Yeah, I guess you did. And the only way to show people is by choosing to become a visualizer. So today, choose to see it, imagine it, and be a visualizer. For the vision still has its time, presses on to fulfillment, and it will not disappoint. And if it delays, we wait for it." Thank you.